Fellas, the smarter you are, the better you are at lying to yourself. You can be a good businessman. You can be a top performer. You can earn a decent income or a great income. You could have climbed the corporate ladder like I did a couple of years ago. You can be a man with status, respect, power. You can even be a man who gets regular sex. But the funny thing is, the lie that smart, intelligent men often tell ourselves stems from something a little bit more visceral. You can sit there and say, in this season of my life, I'm building, or I'm just locking in on the business. I've got deadlines. Sex doesn't really matter to me like that. Meanwhile, your sexual tension and frustration from your relationship is affecting your clarity, it's affecting your decision speed, it's affecting your sleep, and it's taking too much mental bandwidth from you. You can sit there and say, I'm disciplined, but you waver, you oscillate, and you change your positioning and your decisions when you get a little bit of pushback from your clients, from your woman, from your team. So now you start to change your prices around. Maybe I'm asking for too much. This isn't the industry standard. Well, maybe I should change this because my girl, my wife, because my woman doesn't like this. You lack finality. The catch-22 is, the motherfucker is, you can sit here and say, I've outgrown this. I've outgrown this. I shouldn't even be dealing with this. I'm past this at this stage of my life. And yet you still seek validation. Not in the external way like how the majority do, seeking external validation to fulfill something, but in a more quieter way, in a more subtle way, in a way to where when you get home after a long day of work, you sit down and you wonder, why does everybody respect me on paper? Why does everybody admire me? Why do I know I'm a fucking savage, but I still feel like a fraction of myself? Why do I feel like a fraud when my life is telling me I'm a boss? And this is some shit that I had to sit with for many years, having this burning fire of desire, being capable, being intelligent, being a fucking dog, and knowing I was capable, but still feeling like a fraud because there were certain things that I had to finally admit that I was lying to myself about. And as a man, you gotta eat that shit. Whether it is sex, whether it's power, it's control, it's money. Let's touch on the sex for the first portion. When you are sexually frustrated as a man, it'll show up in overthinking your decisions, replaying team meetings, replaying situations with your woman over and over again, replaying things. That's a lack of finality. It also comes up as you hesitating to hold the line. I gave the example of, let's say you have a service or offer right now that costs $10,000, $15,000. And let's say you have a couple of tough weeks in business because business is very inconsistent. You can have a fantastic quarter and the next quarter eat shit, right? And you start to think, man, fuck, maybe 15K is too much. Maybe 5K, 3K, 2, whatever you charge, maybe it's too much. And you start to bring down your prices. You start to give more discounts. You start to swing. Your woman says something that lingers in your mind. Now you start to change your values. You start to be a simp. You start to be a bitch. You start to be a cuck. All because you don't know how to hold the line. You lack finality. When you're sexually frustrated, these are clear signs. You start to waver in your decision making because there's a part of you that still seeks being accepted. And the clear indication that you seek to be accepted is the fact that you keep on over-explaining when you should be in the position of leadership. This will look like you losing the authority over your children. Your children will not respect you. Your wife will not respect you. Your girl will not respect you. Your team will hear you. Your partners in business will hear you, but they're gonna doubt you, all because you lack finality. The lie that smart, intelligent men tell ourselves is that power, control, right, sex, money are all different, separate lanes, but they're not. They're all one and the same thing. I come from very humble beginnings, so I had to really work on my mind and develop myself internally. And I used to admire men who were in high positions. I used to think that they had something that I didn't, until I realized that the men who are calm under pressure didn't have anything different per se. They were just honest about where they were leaking in their identity. That's the catch-22. The thing is, if you're sexually frustrated, or if you're lying to yourself about money, if you cannot, hold a lot of money when you have income spikes and somehow it keeps on going back down to baseline, right? If your authority keeps on slipping, even though you know you're a leader and you're in a leadership position, all of this is linked. All of this is linked. And the thing is, smart, intelligent men, we don't plateau because we lack strategy. Like, you guys always think it's something external. It's not external. It's not strategy or marketing or changing your positioning. It's always because we refuse to address the intimate parts of ourselves that make us feel exposed. Why? Because we have an ego. You see, intelligent men, the reason we have an ego is because we're competent. And we've had to prove to ourselves that we're competent. We've needed to be competent because it's more than likely you come from a broken background, a broken childhood, and you were always the black sheep in the family. I'm talking from experience. I was always the odd one, always the one that was daring, always the one that just wanted to go do something different. I could not conform, right? Me personally, my family immigrated to the States from Haiti, and I was told, look, we're in America. We got it made. I could not accept poverty just because we were in America. So whatever your background is, you were probably the black sheep, and you had to work through the ranks, right? That pain, that trauma, that grit that you developed along the way to make yourself an intelligent, capable man. It carried you up until this point. But what a lot of you guys don't realize is that that was purely ego. And the ego has its place, but the ego keeps you stuck at a lower state of consciousness. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is to transcend your own self and to move into a higher state of consciousness, you have to understand that the ego likes to keep you in a position that's familiar because that's what it equates as safety. This is why you can't hold certain authority. This is why when you make income, great income, you always feel unsafe. It's because your central nervous system is doing the same thing sexually, financially, mentally, that it's been trained to do for years. It's been trained to love to stay being small because that's what feels safe. This is why sexually you're not free. And here's another secret. If you cannot even verbally or openly express what you want sexually as a man, when decisions have to be made, when big deals are on the line, when you have to wear your leader hat, when you have to hold in your finality, you're not going to be able to make that call. I don't care how many times you've made that call before, it's going to be inconsistent. You're going to be wavering and your identity will be oscillating. Why? Because you're fragmented at your core. This is the biggest lie that we tell to ourselves as intelligent men. I've got it all figured out. I'm disciplined. I've outgrown these last issues that, these last past seasons that I used to deal with when I was a younger man. That's bullshit. And I'm telling you from experience, I've had to check and still do check myself at every single level. The thing about smart men and the reason why it's so hard for us to grow is because this is not a issue that average men deal with. This is an issue that you only come across once you're competent. And competent men think that we have it all figured out oftentimes. And even the ones that don't think that we have it all figured out, you've more than likely read the books, you watched the podcast, you've probably done therapy. But the thing about therapy is that therapy really only steps a little bit into the trauma. It doesn't integrate the identity. You've probably worked on your mind already. But the thing about working on the mind, let's say you work with a mindset coach or something. Working on the mind only makes you aware and you get to know yourself more. But again, getting to know yourself more isn't integrating the identity. You probably consume whatever type of material, right? To get more strategies or to get more systems. But the thing about systems is that the systems only teach you how to do it. They don't help you integrate the identity in a practical way. And if you're anything like me, you've read all the fucking books, right? Trying to learn how to remedy some of these areas because you actually want to get better. But the issue with the books, whether this is Atomic Habits or, How to Win and Influence People, all of these books that we know about, the main issue that I found in my personal life is that these books, they might give you strategies or systems. I won't lie, a book like Atomic Habits helped me till this day. But the issue with those kind of books is that you might get systems, you might get strategies, but it still doesn't help you personally and practically integrate your identity. Once you're able to integrate your identity, the part of you that calls the shots, that makes the decisions, and that executes are all one person. But until you do that, the part of you that calls the shots, that makes the decisions, and that executes are all going to be different parts of yourself with different levels of confidence. And this is what a fragmented identity looks like. And this is why competent men, we lie to ourselves. Because it's tough to say, yo, I'm a business owner, or yo, I'm an exec, or I'm a father, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in this sense. It's tough to admit that because you're competent, you're intelligent, you're smart. People rely on your decision making. That's a blow to the ego. But what you have to realize is that you're not the ego. The ego is a part of you. You're the consciousness observing yourself, experiencing this reality as the leader. And until you can recognize this and fully integrate your identity so that you're the one at the zenith, at the top, making the congruent, aligned decisions, you're going to be stuck in a perpetual cycle of losing hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's going to cost you your relationships. It's going to cost you the respect in your industry, amongst your colleagues, the way that your children respond to you. It's going to cost you. They're not going to be able to trust your leadership as the head of the household. Once you integrate your identity fully, you start to rewrite the code and the operating system of your central nervous system. Now you start to be able to hold. You grow the capacity to hold the authority. You hold the capacity to be fully sexually free and rooted in your masculinity. You hold the capacity to finally be the man that you know deep down you've always been. This is the exact kind of work that we do in my mentorship, Modern Day Renaissance Man. If this sounds like you, I invite you to do one thing right now. Place that first link down below, book a call. You're going to get on a call directly with me or somebody from my team. We're going to have a conversation and see if it's the right decision for us to work together on a one-to-one level. And from there, we're going to fucking get to work. Salute.